How's it going, everyone? Well, it's I think it's the 12th of April 2017, and I don't know why I started saying the date all of a sudden. I guess maybe for my own posterity down the line, if I end up seeing this video maybe on my hard drive or something. But times change, people change, and we go through a lot of stuff in our life, and documenting my life is something that is, I didn't really expect it to be, this channel to be more of a journal of my thoughts. I mean, I guess that's originally what it basically was. There are some times when I make a video because I have an idea I want to share, and I know nobody probably wants to hear it, so I make a video and upload it. Or other times when maybe I don't have anybody to talk to that's around, or other times when it's just something I really feel like saying that I feel like other people need to hear, but not for the sake of me being right or proving anything, but just this is my opinion and I am human and hear me roar. And along the way, this channel, I've met so many people on my channel over the years, and I think that I've built a pretty decent understanding of I should say a better understanding of people than I think I even had before I went online, which is interesting because ordinarily we assume that online conversations are surface and that they don't really get to the point. You're talking with people you don't know that well, and they don't know you that well, and so it's difficult to take it as being true friends. Let's say I made a video a few years ago saying, are internet friends real friends? And I've totally changed my tone on that. I mean, I've met people online that I knew on my channel for a couple months. One guy let stay at my house, and all I knew him was through online. I could just tell that the guy was pretty straightforward. And I'll tell you something, I've been wrong before. I've been wrong about people. I've trusted people that wronged me and stole from me. We all make mistakes. So this video, I guess, is kind of to tackle that aspect of my internet experience. And really to say that there are a lot of armchair psychiatrists out there who, when they come to my channel or other people's channels, and I see it regularly a lot more on others' channels, and especially if it's a person who has maybe strong opinions one way or another, when I make a 20-minute video and I talk about what's on my mind, I'm bound to say something that might offend or bother someone, but it's often misunderstood or a misunderstanding about my intentions. But that's what I was kind of getting on. It seems like a lot of people project their own displeasure onto other people, and there are certain people who fit into these categories where they will regularly go and berate someone. For example, I have one person or a couple people that have been coming to my channel for a long period of time, but they'll only pop in when there's something they disagree with or something negative. Or the type of people who only if I make a video about global warming will they comment, or only if I talk about GMOs will they comment, or only if I talk about spirituality or religion will they comment, because everyone has different interests. And that's something I totally understand. I mean, I don't expect everyone to jump down and have something positive to say. That's my whole point, I guess, of this, is that I welcome disagreements. I welcome anyone who has a different opinion than my own. I think that is what builds our understanding, is those discussions with people who have a different opinion. The problem comes when they can't tactfully convey that opinion without turning it into something personal. My thing is, I'm not looking for a shrink, for example, okay? I don't need anybody to tell me, well, you should be thinking this way, or you should be doing this or doing that, or maybe you should look at yourself, those kinds of things. Because, look, we're all adults, okay? I have plenty of family and friends in my life, and I have my own mind as well, which all contribute to me understanding my own faults and shortcomings. See, I don't come on here and pretend like I'm fucking master of the universe and that I have the answers. There are plenty of YouTubers I've seen who say, I can tell you the truth, I have the answers, and I'm not one of those people. But whenever I say this is how I feel, some people will take that to think that I'm too arrogant. I've been called arrogant several times, and I can own up to that title in some ways. But I would say that I'm more persistent in defending how I feel and what's true, and people take that the wrong way as well. But I think it's when you're telling others what matters is when it becomes a problem. Especially when people are arguing with another person or leaving comments that are completely irrelevant to the discussion at hand, because it's something that's on their mind. And that happens to me, often. I mean, I at least a few times a week, and always from random different people, I'll get comments which come across as negative. And I'll try to get the answer, like, what are you discussing here? I don't want to misinterpret you. And by the end, you find out that maybe they just had a bad moment. And that's one of the things I wanted to pin down while I was making this. Sometimes people go online and they see a video and it just irritates them because they're in a state of mind where they just are thinking about something on the side that, and then they hear a trigger word or something and they just, leave a harsh comment, and then maybe the next day regret it, or maybe not, but they don't realize often that it's because of their other frustration that they're speaking the way they are. And then sometimes people actually don't even intend to come across as being harsh. It's just that the words that they use and the wording. And this happens with me and my brother and my friend on Facebook yesterday. We had a discussion about something. It was something I said came across wrong, something he said came across wrong. By the end, we were laughing about it because, hey, we're all friends, right? And that's the important thing. If your friends are telling you, let's say if I went to work at a new job and, the second day I was there, one of my coworkers started telling me, hey, you shouldn't eat that for lunch. You should do this. Everybody hates that kind of stuff. It's like, who are you to tell me or judge me? I don't know you, and you don't know what goes on in my life. But if a friend does it, even though you might get defensive, you're willing to at least give him a little credit and say, all right, yeah, I know, And that's because he's earned your respect through the friendship. And same with family. We may, we may have family scathing at us and giving us a bunch of crap about the way we are, and we can defend ourselves and say, oh, screw you, this is my life. But ultimately, we know a few truths about ourselves. And when somebody says something and we hear it and it resonates as true, we know it's something to work on. In my life, I have, I have a stockpile of things that I want to improve in my life, Sometimes I do, come across not the way I intend, which is something that's bound to happen with as much talking as I do. I'd like to be more motivated. I'd like to have a lot of things different that I'm working on in my life. And that's why when a person comes in and they start telling you how to live your life, all you can just say is, hey, who are you to tell me anything? But people feel more comfortable online. They feel like they know you. And in my case, especially if somebody's been watching my videos for a while, they think that they know me as a person or understand me, but they don't know what goes on in my personal life or the difficulties that I face, even though I'm very outgoing with it. We forget that there is no standard of being human. That no matter how much we judge and say that a person should do this or shouldn't do that or should say this or shouldn't say that or they're racist, sexist, homophobic, Islam, whatever, that we're all just people. We're still just people. And we stand up for the things that we see as important, but we're always going to have different viewpoints, even those who are in a very similar group and spending time with people who are very similar to them in the same mindset. This is the idea. This is why Aristotle and the argument, the idea that arguing is a productive thing, but it has to be about the subject, not about the people. So that's just, I guess, what I'm trying to convey. Folks online need to be more tactful, I think, in the way that we attack an idea, but not a person. And I get, sometimes when I attack an idea, people take it personally, as if I'm attacking them. Whereas other people, they can't even comment on an idea without attacking the person. That's an ad hominem attack and an ad hominem fallacy, basically. Fallacies are really useful to know because they're used quite often, trying to prove a story with one fact or, saying that since a person doesn't have a college education in something, that their opinion doesn't matter, or because they're black, white, male, female, whatever it may be. I think we realize this. We know that we need to get along by understanding that we're different from one another, and the key I'm trying to push here is don't poke at people's personal lives if you don't know anything about their life. But even if you do know things about their life, Most people are pretty aware of their shortcomings, and don't need others to pick at them or point them out. We can't always see ourselves, but we do try. I try to see myself from the outside. I have my third person type view where I will literally picture in my mind me from the outside walking. And this is something I learned through, it was the Manly Hall, I think, when I was learning about Buddhist, principles and whatnot, and saying, okay, the observer, the self-observer, and you can laugh at yourself and you can realize it's okay. Don't take yourself too seriously. Part of the reason why I think, of course, that we handle ourselves the way we do when others criticize us is because of our upbringing and our childhood situations. For me to sit here in front of the camera and make videos today, a person who doesn't know me may think that I have no idea. And see, by even saying that, I'm already assuming that I know what a person would think. Let's just say a person thinks that I grew up and I was one of the cool kids, or that I had a lot of friends in school, or that I had a lot of people patting me on the back, and that's why I built my my self-worth, that I know I'm a worthy person. Nobody else is going to do it for me. I'm not going to sit and give myself a pity talk or, oh, I'm not worth it. The only person that suffers is us when we do that to ourselves. But a person would be dead wrong to think that I was even remotely like that in school. I was an outcast. I was a nerd, if you will, but I wasn't a nerd because I wasn't super smart. I didn't really know much. I failed math all the time. I failed most of my classes, but it was because I didn't do homework. And my teachers would say things like, you're so smart, but you don't do the tests. Or you're so smart on the tests, but you don't do the homework, and that's the only reason you're failing. And I would say, whatever. When I'm at home, I want to have my own time to myself. I was very stubborn. I was very independent in my own thinking, but I didn't fit into any groups. And even when I got into junior high, I grew a mullet, and I was kind of a rocker type kid, into heavy metal. Then on into high school, I was kind of a metalhead at first, with just a group of like 2 or 3 friends that were also outcasts. Then I was a skater, but I still didn't fit in with the cool skaters. The point being, I got picked on a fucking lot when I was a kid too. I had really bad acne. I remember my family moved after we got divorced, and the first day of school at this new school, I got picked on by like the school bully, and he decided I was going to be the guy he was going to pick on, and I never made a single friend at that school, So this isn't a pity talk. I'm just saying a perception of where I come from. Giving you that insight might lend a little bit to why, no, I'm not that sure of myself. I've had to develop that. We all do. But when people poke at my personal life, I'm apt to just say, hey, fuck you. That's just how I feel. I can't hold back that. When I do get defensive, I will ask myself, am I getting defensive because it's something that's true, or because it's totally false about me? But really it doesn't matter. The issue is, what business is it of yours? And that's what I'm trying to get at. It's nobody else's business what my life is about, If I was, even if I was vlogging about my life constantly, and that's why I really don't open up too much in certain videos and make videos about my life. And like I've said, like somebody took it offensively the other day that I said I don't like to watch vlogs about other people's life, but then I made one about mine, and I thought that was pretty silly. I'm like, just because I like different things doesn't mean that I don't care about the people. There's a lot of misunderstandings that go on, and hey, that's the world of people. I mean, what the hell, really, we take ourselves too seriously, and we're far too programmed. My bullying when I was a kid, and my acne and my self-image problems probably led to me being a little more arrogant as an adult. I was sick of not looking at myself as worthy. I was sick of not seeing myself as a great, awesome human being. Nobody ever taught me that. Nobody told me that. We have no political or spiritual understandings in my house. It was very just to, kind of go along, and one day I woke up and said, wait a minute, what is this world about? And I think it was probably LSD when I was 15 that brought me to that point. But so sometimes when we're about to like say something to someone or tell someone something, or even when we're in the middle of an argument with someone, it's best to walk away and rethink what we want to say. Because within 5 minutes you can calm down and realize, whoa, that would be taken totally out of context. And I'm guilty too. Sometimes, if I see something, I'll retort right away. But if I give myself a few hours and think about it, I realize, oh, I might have taken that mistake. And for example, I've had people leave a comment on my video that sounded like they were just totally being harsh, and I'd respond with some furious response, and this was years ago, and they'd be like, well, I wasn't talking about you or that. You totally misunderstood what I was saying. They're like, I like this subject or whatever it might be, and I kind of laugh at myself and say, okay, yeah, I got defensive. I'm only human. I'm doing what I can. But nobody's perfect because there is no perfect. There's no such thing as perfect. It's all in the eye of the beholder, and there's no. I'm saying that as no standard to compare to. There is no standard of being human. Like, this is how you should feel about racism, this is how you should feel about right and wrong or good and evil, and this is how you should think about this. It's just a somewhat consensus reality that we all inhabit, and we share ideas, and we look at the larger picture and hope that we're doing the right thing, if you know what I mean. I think a big problem with, for example, when people leave a comment or they're talking to a friend or a family member, and they start saying something, and the person gets defensive, and they're like, "Wait, I wasn't talking about you." This has happened to me with certain people who are very, and it just came into mind. Mostly, like last year and the year before, there were a couple people who would only come in if I made a video like this, just talking about people in general. They would come on and say, "Oh, I bet you're talking about me, ha ha ha," when all they did was leave some random comment on a video like a few days before that maybe I disagreed with. I'm like, that's a little bit of arrogance to me when people think that you're talking about them, because I'm talking about dozens of people. I get so many comments, not just here, but elsewhere, and there's a lot of, I don't expect a fucking positive feedback chamber or an echo chamber or a feedback loop where everybody goes, "Oh, right, yeah, you're right. I'm totally open to disagreeing on subjects and ideas. It's just that I wanted to point out folks need to really realize that people's personal life is none of their business, and I'm not asking for a psychiatrist." So, and I wanted to clarify that to where people don't feel like they can't leave a comment disagreeing with me. I've had people leave a comment like, "Oh, I'm sorry that I disagree with this, but," I'm like, "No, dude, that's what I welcome. I love it. Show me the math. Show me." There's one thing to disagree and just say, "Well, I believe this because it's a conspiracy. Everything's a lie. The whole world's an illusion, or the Earth's flat. That's all there is to it," kind of thing. But when it's actual evidence and we're discussing an idea, this is how we come together and figure out what's right for what it's worth. And usually it doesn't even really matter if it's right or wrong. We're just talking. But when we're talking about personal traits about a person, you can't really tie those into facts and figures. People are more willing to take it the wrong way. So, I guess that's it for the video. I see how much time I got here. Yeah, okay. I don't want to come across as arrogant, but I know I do, and that's okay. I like myself. I like who I am, but it wasn't always that way. I like who I'm becoming because I'm growing into myself. My brain is, I'm not the kind of person who has always been this, let's just put it this way. There are a lot of people who were younger, in their 20s, even teenagers, who are very bright and very well aware. And I'm not talking about academics or just information, but people who get it. Unfortunately, there are a lot of people who think they get it too. The ones who say, "Oh, why can't we all just hug and be friends?" And that, the reality is that life is complicated. And a lot of the ways that I've thought when I was younger have totally changed over time. Reluctantly. I would love to live in a delusion where everything was happy rainbows and we could just, go along and get along with one another. I see people who are in, these kind of new age groups where they just kind of just don't see no evil, hear no evil. And that is an easy way for some people to deal with the issue. The extremes in past have been, certain religious sects would banish anyone who had a different belief system, whereas other times in history, there were churches side by side all the way down the street of different religions. It just depends on the tolerance, what the people had to eat, if they had enough to eat, because when times were lean and harsh, it was easier to disagree with other people's personal opinions. And I just add that because when we are in a bad way, we're more likely to push other people's buttons and to want to project our displeasure onto other people. And I'm trying really hard not to even leave snide joking comments or texts to, let's say, my brother or my friends, because I know that they take it the wrong way sometimes. So I can't imagine the people that we, all of us, interact with on a daily basis that don't understand our intentions. And that's probably why I leave a smiley face still after so many sentences. To, reiterate that point that, this is, supposed to be in jest, or, I mean well. And I just wanted to leave with that. I always mean well. I don't mean to harsh anyone. And if I come across as attacking someone in particular, it's not because of that person. It's usually because of how others are affected by that person. I will never attack a person just because of the way they want to live their life. Or say, look at this person, he's doing this, or this person's doing that. That's something that you should just not do. But when it comes to them affecting others, that's when we need to stand up for the little guy. And sometimes we're the bad guy for that. So, yeah, I was a dork. I had acne, and I grew up in a bunch of, strange places and times, and moved around a lot, and it brought me to where I am now with my wonderful wife and my family. I have my children, and I wanted to leave on that note, I guess, to say that even though when others judge us and they tell us how we should be living or what they think we should be doing, sometimes they can be right, and they may have a point, especially if they're loved ones and they're telling us that they're concerned about us, because we can't see ourselves as well as we'd like to. But sometimes we need to step back and say, how is my life serving me? And for me, that's sitting back and saying, I have a wonderful family, and I'm pretty content on a day-to-day basis. Now, there's a lot of little things I can motivate a little more, and sure, I could take action if I was after money and I just don't have the motivation to get rich. But beyond those, societal motivations, just to live, I'm motivated. I wake up and I like life. I enjoy getting up in the morning. I don't go back to sleep and try to get another hour. Like, I enjoy waking up. I enjoy my day. And sometimes it can become monotonous, and we say, God, I just need a break. I need to get away. And those times for some people can turn into a lifetime of agony, and they will project and attack others because their life is miserable. So if you're being attacked by someone over and over, whether it be family or friends or somebody you've never met, try to talk it out. But if the person's obviously trying to get your goat, then walk away from it, because they're the ones who are obviously miserable. Because nobody who has a great life and nobody who's happy goes around attacking other people for their own personal beliefs or their own life and how they live it. So, peace and love and namaste and all that cheesy shit, and I'll talk to y'all later.